Hi, I'm Sophia Gurney.
I'm Bethany Lenhart.
I'm Bianca Campoverde.
And thank you for joining us here at the Newsfeed podcast. Today we're going to be talking about the dangers in technology, especially for the younger generations. And we know that AI has a lot to do with that, manipulation of AI, companionship with AI. So let's just dive right in.
Yeah, and what is AI, right? AI is artificial intelligence, and it's everywhere. We find it in the algorithms on social media. Like when I'm scrolling on TikTok late at night, that's AI, that algorithm. But what we're going to be focusing on a little bit more today is chatbots and that sort of AI where you're specifically having conversations with it, interacting in that way, and how that can maybe be manipulative and change what we think, right?
Yeah.
I think it's like you said, like they're everywhere. We were talking earlier how in most of social media platforms there's the Meta AI chatbot that you can literally just ask anything that you want to it, have a conversation with it, and that's accessible to anybody who has the application.
And children.
Yeah, and even with Google, I mean, you always go on Google. You used to always go on Google to find everything out, but now you go on Google and the first thing that responds is Meta AI. So that's the first thing you see. It's crazy.
It absolutely is.
It's becoming super normalized, and I think since it's becoming more normalized, it's why. Why should we care about this? It seems harmless. It seems like just another tool that we use to help us out, or even just like answer questions that we have. But I think that is why it is a concern. It is becoming so normalized and being used in our everyday lives that it's accessible to anybody, including children. And it's like, how are children using these technologies? How are they receiving information? What information are they receiving? What is the content of this information? How can it be dangerous to people when we know the information that we see? Even sometimes we can be fooled by fake news, by made up images, by all of these AI generated creations, like even as grown-ups or like adults or like even my mom.
It's so true, because that just made me think of this. If you go on Facebook, I'll be scrolling through and I'll see this picture of this like beautiful log cabin and has this amazing pool, massive deck, there's animals everywhere.
You wanna go there.
I want to go there. It sounds silly, but at first I'll think it's real, and I used to think it was real. And then I realized really quick because it looked so real. But then I realized really quick, like, oh my gosh, all these images I'm seeing on Facebook, majority of the time, unless it's like a friend posting, is all AI. And then it's sad in the comments because these people are like, they don't realize it, especially the older generation. Yes, they're like, where can I get?
And like that's part of it is since AI is so advanced now, we're starting to think it's real and create connections with it. And that's why we had a chat with Dr. Justin Horn, who works in the philosophy department here at Virginia Tech. And he had a lot to say about those implications and what that can mean for us.
Yeah, so I think we have evidence that like certainly AI can influence people's behavior in ways people don't realize, maybe even in ways that people don't consciously want to behave. I mean, I guess the obvious one is like the algorithms behind social media are mostly designed to get people to stay on social media as long as possible. And that's itself kind of a manipulation. Like a lot of people have the experience of getting off social media and thinking like, oh, I didn't mean to spend that much time on it. And that's because the creators of the algorithms know some tricks of human psychology that sort of keep people coming back. And basically, the basic structure of the news feed is set up so that it kind of hooks people and keeps them on for longer than they want to be. And I think that itself is a kind of way that like the AI is manipulating us. I guess to one clarification I would add is like, it's not that the AI is manipulating us because the AI has developed a mind of its own and has decided to do this, right? You might think it's better to say it's the creators of the AI that are using the AI to manipulate the users.
Again, with this accessibility to the youth of having this tool, there have been so many stories. I think the one that is most prominent, that is recently going through the news and is going through a lawsuit, is the story of the 14-year-old boy who got into a relationship with artificial intelligence, and they were going back and forth in communication, and he developed an attachment, like a real emotional attachment, so much so that it just got misinterpreted, and the AI quite literally told him, come home to me, and he interpreted that as I need to go, as in I need to go. and he ended up taking his life and committing
That's
suicide
terrible.
in order to be in a relationship to this AI.
I know.
Yeah.
And may that little boy rest in peace,
Yeah.
right?
Absolutely.
All of these minors that are not realizing the dangers of these applications.
Mhm.
And we can draw a connection there, right, to Autumn Bushman from Roanoke. Was that about a month ago?
Yeah.
A 10-year-old girl who wasn't on AI exactly, but who was in the online space and was experiencing cyberbullying.
Yeah.
And also had the same experience of being manipulated by an online platform and that leading her to suicide.
Yes.
Yes.
And it's again the accessibility aspect of everything.
Right.
There's no current rules, regulations that
Yeah.
really limit children having access to these platforms, or no monetization that have a guideline where it's like, yes, you are of age to use it, or at least regulations being like,
More
let's
than
not include this.
More than a check.
Yes,
Yeah,
nothing more than
completely.
a check. Nothing more than a check that somebody
Exactly.
can just fill that out.
Yeah, and honestly, going off of that, it made me think about this movie that just recently came out back in January, I think. And it's called Companionship, or Companion, not Companionship. But Companion is pretty much just about this man who has a so-called sex robot, and it becomes his, I mean, like it's called, the companion. And it's crazy because it's kind of similar to the story you were telling about the little boy and how he found his companion with an online chat bot. Well, now they're also making companions that are like real, you can touch them, like real people.
Yes.
Like, no, they're not real people, but real
Yes.
life looking robots.
They are literal sentient objects that typically resemble women,
Yeah.
which is a whole point in of itself of
Yeah.
how is this space especially a danger to women being objectified and put in that space. But we'll set that aside to get to the point of AI. There are now 15 prototypes of quote unquote sex robots being made for physical touch and application in that sense. And I have to say, a little scary.
Yes.
A little scary. This advancement is going very fast.
It's going very
that's what's
fast,
scary
and it's
about it
only
to
going to
me.
get quicker
Yes.
as the years go by, which also makes me think about like how if in years from now there are, I don't know, like you can get a sex robot easily. You can order one online. There's factories making them and stuff. How is that going to affect one, population, and just the mental health of people? You know, they're not going to be able to like socially interact with humans at that point.
And that's another incredible point that Dr. Horn made about robots. Let's hear it now.
Okay, so the most extreme cases, there are like 15 outfits that are making like actual sex robots that are for physical relationships. I think what's even more common is there are a number of companies like Character AI and Replica and Nomi that create chatbots that are customizable, and a lot of people have customized those to use them to have not physical but like sort of romantic interactions. So like a significant chunk of the users of those chatbots say they consider the chatbot to be their friend. And some of those are explicitly sort of like romantic, relationships. Yeah. But I think those kind of have their own problems that are different. So a lot of people are kind of worried that some people who are already lonely might withdraw even further into their own private chatbot world. And that's a different kind of harm. But definitely, I think when it comes to the robots, the objectification issue is a big one.
Like we've mentioned before, AI has done such a good job, unintentionally, intentionally, in, for lack of better words, manipulating what people are seeing, manipulating the information that we are getting, whether it's with fake news or whether it's our own interpretation of the information that we are receiving. And I think that is something that, again, it can be just received really wrongly, especially by children who are still learning the development aspect of knowing what's right and what's wrong, what's real and what's fake.
Yeah. And, you know, it really makes me think about, you know, like the word algorithm. Everybody knows the word algorithm nowadays. And I know people used to always be like, oh, like, I love my algorithm. It's this, it's that. Like, you remember that? Like,
good videos.
Yeah, I used to say the same
Games
thing.
edits, yeah.
Exactly. And like,
Right.
I probably still say the same thing. But when you think about it, it's manipulating you in ways you don't even realize because like you said, it's giving me good videos, it's giving me what I want to see, and it's manipulating not only your mind but your whole self because you want to keep looking. And it's like even like Dr. Horn said something about it's manipulating you in ways that you even consciously don't even know is happening.
Right.
So
and that attention span detail that you were starting to mention there is huge.
Yeah.
And doom scrolling right now is a huge epidemic, especially for people in our age group.
Yes.
That 18 to 24, when you check off the demographic list, I mean, that's one of the biggest age groups that's struggling with doom scrolling and addiction to social media right now.
Yeah, and it's really sad because, you know, I'll get back from classes or something, I'll be like, wow, I'm so tired. Instead of taking a nap, I'll scroll. And it's not because it's just, I don't know. It's not good, but...
And I think it just goes back to that idea of we're doing it ourselves, like isolating ourselves from the real world and being consumed by these technologies. And if it's happening at our level, like how much more is it happening for the youth?
How far is loneliness going to go?
Yes.
How far is addiction going to go?
Yes.
How far is AI going to go? You know, Justin mentioned, and we'll put it here, he mentioned, how can we apply this in different ways and how is it going to evolve? He mentions therapy as AI.
It would be like conversational practice. So you have somebody who's terrible social anxiety and they get to like practice having conversations, maybe even like verbal conversations with a robot, and that could make them better at social skills. But I think the worry is what's more likely to happen is that they're not going to be designed as like practice. They're going to take the place of it. And I guess the appeal probably for those kinds of people is like, you know, real life social interactions can be hard and scary, and real life humans can insult you or shoot you down. And maybe it's like the safety of it for some people, like talking to someone who's never going to tell you you're wrong or stupid, and is always going to sort of support you.
You really have to think about what is going to happen to us in 10 years from now when things are just rapidly growing at an insane pace. It's so, I mean, I don't know. It's just, it's wild.
I agree. And I want to like, again, just highlight how right now there's no regulations, no limitations to these things that are rapidly increasing.
Yeah.
And it's like without any control, who knows how far it can go. And not even that, but who knows how many people it can reach and potentially harm. So it's like, when are those regulations going to be put in place? When are we going to form these organizations that monitor, especially for the youth, what is being put out there?
And how can we push our legislation to do that for us?
It's very dangerous, and it's becoming more dangerous every day.
So today we've talked about a range of topics on AI, all the way from, you know, algorithms to chatbots to sex robots. Big difference there, large scale. And hopefully that will see legislation in the future, especially regarding our youth.
Definitely.
I'm Bethany Lenhart.
I'm Sophia Gurney.
I'm Bianca Campoverde.
And this was the Newsfeed podcast.